Okay.
All right.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Flex in the City. I'm Gada.
And I'm Lisa, and this is I don't even remember.
Episode
28.
28, maybe? 28. Yes, 28.
Is
Yes.
the next episode.
Yes. It took us a minute.
Welcome, guys. And how are you? How are you doing? We've, as you may have noticed or not, we skipped a week. Sort of.
We did episode 27. Well,
it was
part of the episode 26, and we just felt like it was such an important topic, being Black History Month, that we had to put it in as a separate episode. So
little snippet.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just part of what we talked about before, little conversations that we have that sometimes don't make it to the podcast.
Yeah.
We just actually just talk, and then we're like, damn, that would have been a good one for the pod. And then
so that was just a little example. But yeah, so I've been good. It's Valentine's Day.
Oh,
so
yes. If you guys have plans.
Happy Valentine's Day. No. But
you're like, we're past
but
that.
Kyle got me flowers, so that was
Oh,
sweet.
did he?
Yeah.
Oh,
what about
sweet.
you guys?
Still waiting on mine.
That's all I'm getting though.
Waiting. Oh, okay.
You know, and he was always like, it was funny because when we first got together, he'd be like, yeah, I'm not about these commercial holidays. And I was like, yeah, I'm so cool. I don't need Valentine's Day. But now I'm just like, if it's going to be a reminder for you to do something for me, then I'm going to take Valentine's Day. I will take Mother's Day. I'll take Valentine's Day. I'll take any day that is just like an alarm clock that goes off and says, oh shit, I need to get something for her.
Especially because if it's not happening randomly throughout the rest of the year, you need to do it on
you need that. You need that.
No,
so
I feel that.
I can respect the ones that say they don't care for it because they're probably being showered and pampered like all the time.
We don't want to know about it.
So,
but yeah, happy Valentine's Day to you.
I'm cursing you out in my head, but
it's okay.
Beep.
Beep. No, I haven't gotten flowers yet, but I.
Do you guys do that though? Is that
something so far it's been consistent. We usually do dinner, so we're having dinner tonight.
Like going out, or
yeah. Once the baby's asleep, and then the older one will
enjoy.
Going around the corner.
Enjoy.
So it's not like.
It's still, I think.
It's something. Yeah, and then
yeah.
We're doing what you had said, where you kind of have a rule that you don't talk
kids,
about the kids.
No,
so yeah. So we'll see how long we last.
we've had moments where it's like silence because that's all we can have. Like that's the only topic that we have in common sometimes. Seriously. You know. So.
And I think back and I'm like, we used to have telephone conversations for like 8 hours at a time. We had so much to talk about. I'm like, what happened? What were we talking about? Because it wasn't the kids, obviously. Like what? Wow.
Oh man.
But yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm excited.
Okay.
Yeah.
You had a good week? Anything?
I did. I mean, I had a regular week because my schedule, language class and kids, and that's it. And sporadic workouts that I can fit in, and when it's not snowing like it is today.
Yeah, it's a bit.
I actually thought that like the worst was over.
I literally
did you put stuff away?
No, but I thought like I'm standing at the bus stop.
Yeah.
In the snow, kind of took the umbrella, and I'm just like, it's snow. Like, why do I need an umbrella? Like, who needs a freaking umbrella? It's not like rain where you're literally drenched. It's just gonna which
was yesterday, by the way.
Yeah. So I was standing. I was like, I really thought we were done with it.
Me too. I'm not gonna lie. I was just like, you know what? We dodged a bullet this time. We didn't get that much snow.
Yeah.
And Mother Nature was like,
February is usually like that. It like tricks you. Like it's almost like springtime, and then boom.
Yeah, because it was like 9 degrees last weekend. Yeah. And then now it's like, psych.
That's so nice for us here. Yeah. In the winter.
It's meant to be -6 next week.
Stop it.
And then
I can't.
Back to 11. It's just all over the shop. It's like, I don't know. This is not real place.
Man. No.
Anyway, so my week was trudging through the rain yesterday and ridiculous weather to go to class, etc. And I told you a little bit about our new teacher that we have, the drill sergeant. Honestly, it's also the kind of coach that I like too. Like I like a coach that's kind of going to make me want to curse them out, but at the same time I'm like, yes, so good, because I need to be pushed and I enjoy that, and I, tough love person. there's no love where this woman is
No.
concerned. She's just tough, and she doesn't let us get away with anything. And she makes sure we practice speaking, which,
Yeah.
as I said to you, is my like the one thing that I'm sort of lacking with. I don't speak too much, but written comprehension, that's fine. So yeah, it's like everyone's ass cheeks are clenched for the whole session because we are like, she's gonna call on me.
Please don't call me.
She's
Please
gonna
don't
keep
call.
asking me questions to like give her the answer that she wants.
Yeah.
And it's painful. I saw it happen to so many people, and I was like, oh, thank Jesus, listen to me.
Yeah.
And I made sure I was on my shit because I was like, oh no, I'm really a student. I need to tap in.
Oh,
I need to
man.
like, because I've been like coasting and been like, I just have to be here. I'm like, oh no, I need to actually start studying
Like, get with it.
and be on my game.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually the kick in the ass that I needed. And yeah, she's good, but like,
It's
yeah,
tough.
everyone was looking at each other like,
Now you're feeling it.
oh yeah, now we're
Yeah.
in class. Now we're learning.
But like I told you, I think this is what you need, and I think that's the only way that you're gonna learn the language.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely. I mean,
the other teacher. So if you don't know, she had a different German teacher, and they've switched. And the other one like had you guys like singing to
like kids music, like songs that like the baby listens to, and she's like, let's dance, and she's like conversationally in Bavaria, this is what they'd say. I'm like, I don't need to know the cultural translation in Bayerisch for the exam. So don't tell me about it. Yeah. I need to know what I need to know for the exam.
To pass the exam.
So if you're telling me, oh, this won't be on the exam, I don't need to know it. It's a limited class. Like let's get to it. Yeah.
You'll be a German aficionado.
I was like, there's the rest of that sentence because that could go in all kinds of directions.
A lover of German language or no, not okay.
Lover is very optimistic. Okay. I will be sufficient German speaking non-native resident.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Specificity.
You heard it from her.
Yeah, that'll be me. That's the goal.
That'll be you.
Yeah. Oh man. Anyway, how was your week?
Good. I aside from the usual mommy duties and just doing content, that's pretty much what takes up. I did go to what the hell?
That's the speaker going off.
I thought it was my stomach. It's like, please God, don't let that be my stomach. No.
If your stomach made that sound, I'd be like, we're cutting it
We're
off.
done.
We can't. We have bigger problems that we need to talk about right now.
I went to the House of Banksy.
The exhibit.
Exhibit again. I know. I told you I went with my kids before.
It's a good one where you could go more than once.
But when I went with my kids, it was like they really liked it and they really enjoyed it. But they're not readers, so they were just looking at pictures and then just walking through. But this time I went
and you read,
and I actually got to read like everything, like the history behind each or the meaning behind each. Behind each painting or
each
piece.
Piece.
So that was cool.
Yeah, it's really good. I love that they had that hotel portion as well. Like that's just so
the walled off hotel that you find in Bethlehem. If you don't know about it, just Google House of Banksy and you'll see all of
good. And like he's such a genius.
Well, it may not just be
or
a
she
he
or they.
It might be a collective group of
which actually,
spray painters.
When I saw that at the exhibit, I'm like, that actually makes the most sense.
Yeah,
because the scale is just
it's
but also at the same time, it can't be that big of a collective because that many people can't keep it secret.
No, I agree. I feel like maybe it's like 10 people.
Yeah, it's like
I don't think it's like 1,000 people.
Yeah,
that would
it's like 10 people and there's like a ironclad NDA.
Yeah,
and they're just like
never reveal your identity.
Exactly, even after one of us dies.
Yeah, exactly.
No one can be. Yeah, so but I love it. I've always loved their stuff, his stuff, whatever. I've always loved Banksy. So
that was one of my highlights. Yeah,
very nice. I ventured out with some of the girls last Saturday?
Yeah. I think so. You did like a lunch and an evening thing.
No, we didn't. I actually went to help my friend out with some content, like some copy that she's writing for brochures and stuff.
Okay.
And so that's why I was there like at lunch hour in the afternoon. But then we were like, oh, we'll go out in the evening with a larger group of girls. I think it ended up being like 8 of us.
Right.
Some of the girls I met on the night. And yeah, so it was me and the 2 girls that you know. Oh, I don't think you've not met
I
Sophia,
haven't met her,
yeah.
no, but I
you
know of her.
Yeah. And so we went to like the courtyard area of Hugo's. There's like the more formal dining at the front, and then
Okay.
there's like the back entrance where you
I
have
didn't
dinner.
know that.
But they play music, and it's outdoor, but like they have
Music.
heaters. Actually, some of the song, no, they had like really nice remixes of like R&B, and I was like, okay, this is kind of cute.
Yeah.
We got there, we had some wine and like, you know, like little like food, pizzas, whatever. So we were eating, and I met like some girls from, I think one was from Sierra Leone, another one was from Gambia, and
Oh, nice.
yeah, it was really cool. And then another chick came later. She was from Rwanda,
Okay.
and so all of them lived here for like I think minimum of 10 years. So they were all like, "How do you find it?" And I was like,
do you want my honest answer or?
Yeah, and I was like, "How do you find it?" Actually, I'm curious to know. So. Yeah, like one of the ladies used to be in London, and she's like, I can't believe I used to live there because like now when I visit, it's too crowded and loud and fast paced. And I was like, really? She's like, yeah, I'm just always happy to come back to Munich.
So they are happy being here.
So I think they've acclimatized. There's a lot of things where they were like, it goes without saying, where they were like, we manage, and I know what they mean. So like, it didn't even have to kind of go into a discussion, but they were like, actually, you get to the point where you like the fact that it's, especially because they're all moms too. So they're like, you know that it's safe. Like in London, you can't let your kids just go like on the underground and etc. Things like that. So you realize that you give up some things to gain other things. And so I think that's the perspective they look at it. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? Actually, that is a really good point. And they're like, just give it some more time. And I'm like,
Lisa's already thrown in the towel.
I'm like, no, I am. I'm trying. You know, I'm trying.
Even
these ventures out, I'm like, there's more to the city than what I see. Let me give it a chance. Let me venture out. Let me do it.
Did you have fun?
I had fun meeting these girls and hanging out and like chit chat. But like, you know, like at one point, these like, I think they were from Albania or something. Like these guys, like we got a couple of us went to the bathroom. We came back. These guys had like sat down on like half of our table because we got this big table. They're like, "Hi, ladies." And we were all like, "Mate, like stop." And they were just like, "Can we buy you a drink?" I'm like, we all got drinks. We're fine. And they're like,
"Is everyone married at the table?" So
everybody's married with kids. And like, or if not married, like one of the girls, her son is like 21-year-old. She's been married. Like we're past this. And it's because we all look young. So they were like, and they're sitting down, and one of the guys goes, Naomi.
Oh God.
What? I'm like, is it 19? And no shade to Naomi. Naomi's still killing it. Looks amazing. But like the reference, like doing that is so like played out. Like stop. And then he's like, so Naomi, like your boyfriend let you come out? Like this, I was like, no, because I don't have a boyfriend.
That would give me the ick
I said, I got a husband. And the reason he's not here is because he's home with our kids. And the guy was like, I just saw him like, skirt. And he was like, and then I was like, yeah, we all got kids. And they were like, and they got up and left. I was like, exactly.
So quick. Just play the mom card.
Don't get it twisted.
Anytime that you
shit is all falling in place. But yeah, no, like we got kids out here. And like some of the women have kids like in their 20s. Yeah. It's just that, we look good. And but don't get it twisted. We're just having a really fun girls' night. So we went there, and then we went to this other bar afterwards, which had like a live band. And for the life of me, I just didn't have the energy because it was already midnight, but I would have videotaped this woman singing.
As part of the band or
as part of the band. She was the front runner,
the lead singer,
trying to sing Michael Jackson's "Wanna Be Starting Something."
Oh God.
Try to get over, yeah. Too low to get up.
Yeah.
And then there was a guy who, because there's like in the background of the song, the band was insane. Like they were playing really well. there's like a
Yeah.
sound. The guy who was shaking the thing was counting like this throughout the song to make sure he was shaking the little instrument on
No,
beat.
you gotta feel
I
it.
was like, you need to take a different job in your life.
Yeah.
This ain't it for you. And then you know how like there's parts in that song where Michael he breaks down. He's like he does his little ow like that.
Yeah.
Girl was trying to do the ows and the sounds.
No, you gotta make it your own. If you're gonna do a song, like at least make it your own. Don't try to be Michael. Don't do it.
Michael Jackson.
Don't
like
do it.
That is biting off a lot.
Like I don't think Michael Jackson is like a karaoke kind of.
It's really not.
No,
it's really not. And especially like if your singing career is like no shade, like in like a little club, like in like a basement, like girl.
I'm sorry. It's like goes totally against our topic today.
It really does. Sort of though, but like the entertainment was not what she was entertaining, but not in the way
not
she
in
intended.
the yeah.
I was entertained because I was just like, this is like watching a train wreck. What is happening up there? It was So that was a little bit like it was funny because we were all like, oh my god, but like when you're all kind of just like, we'll roll with it. And so like because everyone was chilled out, it was kind of a nice vibe. And then I was just like, dude, it is 12:30. I'm tired.
But you made it. So
yelling. I really stretched it to that 12:30. I was like, listen, my Uber's outside.
Yeah.
I gotta go. And everyone was like, dude, yeah, we're on the way. So yeah, it was and I was still sick. Like the next day I completely lost in fact that night my voice disappeared. And then it was completely gone for several days thereafter. So I was like, I don't have it like I used to have it. But it was nice to get out and about. And like just kind of see that there's all kind of different types of women, obviously I knew that, but just people who, you can meet randomly like that and still have things that, experiences that you hold in common with each other. And just kind of, I don't want to use the phrase, but like feed off of each other's like nurturing energy, which is nice. I think it's so important. And I'm only finding this out more so in this phase of my life that like female relationships are really important.
Mm-hmm.
All relationships are, all healthy ones. But like just having
that sisterhood,
it's really quite important. It was nice. It was just nice to do something different for a change. So.
I think that's healthy. And I think that leads us into our topic for today, which is something that that affects every woman, whether we realize it or not. And it's just how important these bonds between women are. And I think there is something to be said with how historically you would see societies, matriarchal societies, that would thrive off of these social bonds between women. Like you'd have, for example, men that are gone and at war all the time.
Exactly.
And so women,
hunting.
Whether they were relatives or not, would get together, would band together to create their own little community, kind of not just as okay, let's take care of our kids, let's share our resources, but also to protect ourselves from possibly
raids from other
tribes or men, or like men that did not were not invited to the war.
I was gonna say.
So throughout history, you've seen that there's that women thrived in these societies. But I think what we want to address today also is how, one, that it's so important, and two, that these, like in this day and age, you're seeing more and more women pitted against each other. And it's not just like it's not just in our day-to-day, but you'll see it in like in office politics, you see it in the media, you see it on
office politics is a good one.
On reality TV.
Real Housewives. You don't see a Real House. Okay, there's Real Husbands of Hollywood, but that was like a parody. Yeah, with like Boris Kojo and Kevin Hart.
I didn't see that.
You should watch it. You'll like it. But it was a parody. It was like making fun and it's scripted.
Yeah.
But you don't really see like a reality house husbands.
No.
like
No,
franchise, because there's
that's
just no
not.
audience
There's no
to see
audience for
men
that.
like being catty, and literally being catty is associated with like a female sort
Yeah,
of trait, like women fighting each other or a cat fight,
yeah.
you know. And yeah, like I think I'm guilty. I love consuming that sort of
I'm guilty
content.
of that too.
It's just so good sometimes.
But it's
But
just that that just shows how women have no longer, we don't see each other as allies, but we see each other as competitors. And there could be this connection to what we're being fed on a daily basis
exactly.
from the media, from what we consume on social media, on on TV, on all of that. And so
Exactly.
we want to address that today and just kind of see, I think that there's also room to change the narrative, like even if it's just between you and me or within your circles, or like just be able to change the narrative so that we can get back to that level of bonding and sisterhood and
Yeah, and
and
allyship for each
allyship
other.
for each other.
Yeah, I think like this whole allyship and advocating for each other and really coming to the defense of each other is something that is so hard to find. And not only that, but like the biggest enemy in some cases to women is other women. Like if a woman is attacked, you find so many women actually standing up and saying, well, what did she do? Like, well, that's what she gets for like being
in the
out
case
there.
of the whole Me Too thing, like you had a lot of other women were like saying like, well, she probably deserved it, or how was she dressed, or how,
yeah,
as
or
opposed
slut
to
shaming.
yeah,
Like the biggest people who do that is like other women. And even the term like itself is like slut refers to a woman, whereas like what about men who were like promiscuous and like in the same way, acting the same way? There's no term for that. It's just called being
like
a man.
even whore, like you don't say the man is a, you say he's a man whore. So
it's like, a man whore,
like,
right? Because
not,
the default
is for females,
right? That's such a good point. And like whores wouldn't have any business if there weren't men. Like, sorry, but the demand fuels the supply. So I mean, it's the oldest tradition or oldest
trade out there,
profession in the book for a reason, because the demand continues. But anyway, I digress. But the point that I was trying to make was that like women stand kind of as the gatekeepers of how we choose to change that narrative and how we choose to, I think, define our relationships with each other, because we nurture the children, we nurture the men. And as you said, in traditional women-led societies, and even in patriarchal societies, you'll find that the heartbeat and the tone of how the interaction for the community is set is by the women. The community is the women. The kids are collectively brought up, for example, in some cases, and that's the women who do that. The women talk about the interaction. The women are the ones who pass on the traditions and the ideas. It's called your mother tongue because your mother is considered to be the person that speaks to you the most as a child. And so I think we have such a huge, like a core role in creating or changing that narrative. As women, that's just individually, but I think even collectively as a community, like think of how much power and influence we have, which is honestly on some level I think why they want us to keep fighting.
There's like the systems have been put in place so that we are divided. I think that's what they want. They don't want us to like unite collectively. Like look at us.
Are going to take
I don't know if I'm a feminist, but this is like
it's encroaching on feminism. But no, I really think, and it's true, like we would be, I think, like a force to be reckoned with if we actually the one thing that I admire about men is they, good or bad in its application, but like they will ride or die for each other no matter what. Like a man who is like cheating and doing dirty knows his boys are going to back him up in many cases without even like giving them the heads up. Like bros before hoes, and they always will back each other up. And whereas like there's really not that sort of a default.
A woman will blame the woman before she.
Absolutely. I'm coming to you as a woman.
Yeah.
To tell you about you. Like, really? Like, and then I'm going to go and fight and victimize the woman or villainize the woman, vilify the woman, rather than dealing with everybody, both male and female, whoever's involved, in equal parts, So, and that's part of our conditioning. But I think it's also part of the fact that we have fractured what should be a very a healthy collective community that we build between each other as women. So if you're in an environment, let's say for example like Munich, and we've talked about having a community and building a community and meeting people, and we've even discussed it in prior episodes, like the importance of that, the importance of this interaction that we have, the importance of also having a larger group of women. There is, even on like a data level, there is studies to show that there's so much more benefit to that, not just for our own psyche, for being able to talk, for being able to share experiences, from being able to learn from new experiences and get support, but also even just from the fact that that there's someone who can support you. So one of the really interesting things I read, basically they did a study where there were women who said, these are the people that I designate as being support people to me, and like women, and these are people who I consider to just sort of be more transient. And when given like a stimulus of like low level pain, when they were shown an image of the person they considered more supportive, they registered the stimulus of pain at a lower level. So they actually experienced less discomfort from a third stimulus when they saw a person that they considered supportive. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, I don't know what the stimulus was in this, but like say like I'm pinching you.
Yeah.
Right? And then like you consider your sister really supportive. So I'm pinching you and I'm pinching you at like a level 8 and you're like, ow, this is a fucking level 8. And then you see a picture of your sister and you register. Not only do you register it as like a 5 once you see an image of a person that supports you, but also your cognitive, your physiological register of that pain or that discomfort actually comes lower. So your reactions to pain and discomfort, obviously there's like bodily reactions also that correspond with that. When you actually only even see someone, so are in the presence or close by or reminded of someone that's supportive, it actually reduces your stress and anxiety receptors, or response, which is like amazing. Yeah.
That's just so beautiful. Like that just shows how powerful these bonds can be and why it's so important for us. And I think
so important.
That's just, it's just
that was like crazy to me.
Amazing.
Yeah. There was so many like studies like that, but really they were all pointing to the same sort of conclusion that not only is so what we consider like loneliness and what we might sometimes say, oh, I just felt kind of lonely that day, which we talked about earlier, or like it's actually a legitimate feeling, and it doesn't only have an emotional effect, it actually there are physiological like effects of that experience. So isolation and things like that actually affect your brain and how your body,
entire body.
like there were even studies that showed there was like higher mortality rates for people who felt like they were isolated for a longer period of time, which is like crazy.
Yeah,
like,
that's definitely, they say like, so if you have these bonds, it lowers your stress levels. There's a third one also, and then it could possibly increase lifespan.
Yes. So there was increase in lifespan, decrease in
stress levels,
and cortisol.
Cortisol levels.
Yeah, that was the other one. And cortisol is the thing that we all like. I mean, it's not a bad thing inherently, but like buildup of it is obviously not great, and that's what causes a lot of like weight gain when you do feel depressed, because you have cortisol levels that increase, and that is actually something that happens when you don't have sufficient support. So and women are more susceptible to these effects. So the importance of women having those connections and that support is even more important. Men, of course, require it as well, but I think it's so important for us to even know and understand that about ourselves. But like some of that was wild to me. I was like, yeah, like it's nice to have your girls, and I'm like, no, it's not just nice. It's essential.
It's essential, and that hit home. I know for me, and I've mentioned it to you several times that I do have these bouts of feeling lonely. Although I know people, that I feel like I still don't have that closeness that I would like to have.
I feel
you on that. And there's definitely, I think also because throughout the month, like, you know, your hormones are
Doing the most.
doing the most, you know, and you're just trying to survive.
Man.
And so there are some days where the
Yeah.
loneliness like hits hard, you know. So I know like last week it hit harder, but this week like I feel okay, you know what I mean? So but I know that on those days where it hits hard, I really feel like, oh, I just wish that I had like one or two people that I don't need to see them. I just feel like I want to be able to just call them and just have that closeness.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And especially even there's studies obviously that go into like cultural implications and social implications based on how you grew up.
Yeah.
And like we both come from like cultures that are quite social and
Mhm.
also quite strong female bonds in
Yeah.
our cultures, but also we have families where we have, you know, like lots of siblings and like so like going from an environment that's so like rich in that interaction to a place where it's really hard to move somewhere where you are an adult and making these like connections from scratch again, it's hard not just for the fact that you're older and you know less susceptible to change, but it's also like the fact that you're like, I understand that I still have these needs for this closeness and it takes long to establish that, and I might not even establish that because there's a uniqueness as well to having like that circle of people, or even if it's one or two people that like just get you, you know, where you can all just like sit in a room in silence, and even if all of you are like this on your phones,
but you just
it's vibes.
It's a vibe.
Yeah, you're just like we hear, like, you know, and it's hard, and I feel you 100,000% on that because it's so difficult.
Adult relationships are different, and there's a study that I read that said, so there's levels, okay, to the relationships based on the number of hours you spend with somebody. So I think it's like 50 hours you need to spend with somebody to get past a little bit past like the surface level. And then
I love a good scale.
And then 90 hours to get to the next level, and then it's like 200 hours with to feel like this is somebody that you can call like a sister. Right. I was like, damn it, like
who got 200 hours?
How do I calculate that into our lives? Yeah. 200 hours.
We don't even have 20 minutes to take a
I mean,
we don't,
but
why we in and out in 30 seconds.
Seriously, because somebody's
or just
knocking on the door, or just
Mommy, I want to ask you something. Yeah. So. No, but that actually makes sense, because when you think about how many hours we contribute to learning a language, for example, or like even being with your colleagues at work. So if you've like worked with your colleagues for like say 2 years, that's crazy amount of hours that you spent together, to the point when you're leaving, you're like, shit, like
I'm gonna miss these guys.
I'm gonna miss these guys. Even if you never hung out outside of work, you feel a connection already. And because you've spent so many hours together, you've literally put in the hours, you've put in the time. Whereas like it's a lot harder to actually, when you don't have a mechanism like a job, or you know, a government mandate to go to a class, then it's harder to be able to like designate that time and say, you know what, I'm really going to commit to spending this kind of time with my friend, and you know having a standing like meetup or event or something that we do every week, which is not like the most exciting thing, but I think is not a bad thing either.
It's not a bad thing. I think it's needed. So.
And we were saying we don't do it enough. So like we kind of, I think, we used to be, granted the weather maybe was a little bit better, but we've been pretty shit about even now, like at least we used to even like talk about like doing stuff. Like, let's do this, and it was totally like the trip that never leaves the group chat sort of energy. Like we plan all this stuff with good intentions, and then life happens and like things like that. But like now we're just kind of like, like it's hard to sort of like get, but we need to also kind of
need to do that,
hold each other accountable, because like yes, we get together once a week to record, but like we never have, I always like feel that way, I'm like we never have enough time to actually like catch up and spend time together.
And we try to do that like 1 hour before we start recording, where we are catching up, but it's just like we have to fit so many different topics in that 1 hour, and then it's just like, okay, now let's record.
Yeah.
And so you still don't get that. We don't get that actual bond that
No.
I know we need
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
each other, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we need to do better.
No, we do
I
need
will
to
do
do better.
better.
I will
Yeah.
too. I will commit
Yeah.
to doing better.
Okay.
And yeah, witnesses locked in, locked in. We're going to do better. We'll report back as well on it.
Oh man. And it's not about, I don't have an issue with being alone. Like I don't mind going
love
out on walks by myself, sitting in a
I saw
cafe
you've
by
been doing that
myself.
too.
Yeah, forest
P.S. I
bathing. If
always saw
anyone
you
wants to
doing
come
that while
forest
I'm in
bathing.
class, dying, and I'm like,
You would not want to do a forest bath. You'd be like,
that's how bad class is.
you
But I'm
for
almost
taking me
that.
out
I
and-
almost was like, I would rather be in that forest right now where she is.
oh man.
Yeah.
That's like that's what's been keeping me sane. Honest to God. My mind is always, I'm an overthinker and it's always going. And I swear to you, I don't know what it is, but as soon as I step into a forest, my brain shuts off. There's nothing. There's literally nothing.
Define shuts off in the forest because do I need to be concerned?
No, like the fight or flight is there.
I was
Like
gonna
if
say,
I
do I need to come get
if
you?
I see some animal coming at me, like I will still, bust it. But it's just like I'm not like overthinking like, why has nobody called me? Why am I not finding more clients? Why am I not,
yeah. And I like what you also posted on, I think it was the one that you had yesterday, where you said, I'm going to, after you got your content and you're like, phone off, no AirPods, not hiding behind a podcast or music, just hearing the environment. I think that's really, really good.
And that's literally, as soon as I do that, like I take my AirPods out and I sit there and I'll sit on a log also. Like my ass is freezing, but I'll sit on a log.
I was gonna say,
and, and I just take in the sounds. And that has helped. So I have no problem with being alone, but I think being alone and feeling lonely.
Because you can be in a crowd and feel lonely.
Yeah, are two different things. Like I can be in a group setting and still feel lonely.
Absolutely. That's happened to me upteen times as well. And I've been like, wow, there's really just nothing for me here. And there's no connection, there's no depth, there's nothing. And that's almost worse. And you almost feel like I should have just stayed home. I would have been fine on the couch, Netflixing or whatever. And so yeah, I think loneliness and being alone is two different things. Certainly very good, and you've advocated for this before, to be comfortable being alone.
Oh yeah.
But it's certainly a very legitimate feeling and state. I would say, I would even call it a state of being lonely. I think it's not just an emotion and a mood or whatever. Like I think there's legitimacy to loneliness. It's so difficult too.
Yeah.
It's so difficult because we almost feel like it's self-indulgent to even acknowledge it.
Yeah. Like
I should just
I'm having like a pity party or something.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just walk it off. Walk it off, bitch. Like,
yeah, walk it off. Go have a drink. Like, not saying that that's
no, that's not where don't
solution to anything.
Alcohol with this. No.
But yeah, like I think we sort of like feel like, okay, you know what? Like I'm not, it's not a mental illness and it's not a physical disability and it's not, but like it's still something that can be quite debilitating, and as we have seen from these studies, like physically as well as emotionally and mentally. So taking it seriously and really trying to build legitimate, genuine connections and putting work into them is important. Yeah.
Are you into
see whenever she starts like this, what was the last time? It was like a hiking something.
No.
It was something that you said camping.
No,
it was a camp.
Are you?
That's the last time that you started like, are you into?
No, this is okay.
And I was like,
are you into astrology and like birth charts and all of that?
Oh no.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
So I have
because there's so many different calendars and charts.
I do have a friend that's very much into it. And so I was with her and she was like, let me read your birth chart. And so I had to give her like my birthday, my name, the exact time that I was born and where I was born.
And then is it related to your zodiac sign or?
Yeah. So, right. And everything and so she then reads it out for me. And there was one element in there. And this is when I met her, I was feeling super lonely. So
Mm.
she told me one of the elements, which is social related, is
Mhm.
that I have lots of friends, but I don't have like a circle, like a
Mhm.
community.
Mhm.
And so I was just like, that's exactly what I feel is missing. Like,
Mhm.
and so she was trying to explain it to me. She was like, but you have your own community in your own way. It doesn't have to be the same group of people that you see all the time, but you
Spot
have
on.
different, you know, groups that you can call on if
Yeah.
you need
Yeah.
something. And so, but I now know also like why I crave it so much is because I'm someone that has lived in different places so much. And each
Exactly.
time I'm often having to start from zero and I don't know anybody. And then
It's
I'm
exhausting.
surrounded by people who have known each other since kindergarten.
And now you're kind of like
And
breaking
I,
into this already
yeah. And
existing.
so that
Yeah.
alone is exhausting. And I was just like, man, I would love to know what it feels like to have known the same people, to,
Since we're
you know,
little.
since I was little, like to have gone to the same school and then
Grown
gone
up
to the same
together.
university, grown up together, come back, and then all got married together, had kids together, raised our kids in the
Mm.
same town that we grew up in, and all. But then I'm like, but I also love that I am like this worldly child that
Absolutely.
got to have all these different experiences and, you know, embrace these different cultures and meet so many different people. So
Mm.
it's just like, but again, it's like sometimes it gets exhausting. And like I'll watch like Real Housewives and be like, I want that community. I mean, it's such a toxic
Listen,
community,
it's
but
toxic and they fight, but
but
they're
I want
together
it.
all
They're
the time.
together, and
They're
they always
together.
come together at the end.
Honestly,
Like
I know, and
there's
I
a
know a lot of it is probably scripted, but yeah, I'm like, they have a
they always
community.
come together, and I was like,
Yeah.
I want that. I want to be like a group of 8 or 10 women that I see regularly, that I, you know,
Yeah.
can socialize with. It doesn't mean that all those 8 people I'm gonna like give my deepest, darkest, you know, thoughts to, and like anytime I'm hurting, that I'm gonna tell every single one.
Right.
But it's
And you're
just
not going to connect with all of them at the same
no. But it's just
level.
to have like that. I think
Yeah.
it's so important.
It's so important.
And
The
for us
last
to
time I
be
think
here in a foreign country where
without the
our
social support
no
already.
support,
Yeah.
I don't have many other Arab friends. I think you've probably met more Kenyans or, you know, people from, like women from Africa than I have not.
But
I've
only
met
like
two Arabs.
transiently. Oh,
Two
really?
Arabs. That's it. I don't know where the rest of them
Where
are.
are they
If you're
hiding?
here, like
They're
where are you
around. They're
hiding?
around.
You know, like just come out from under the rocks. I'm here for you with open arms, you know?
Yeah, no, I think it's really important. I told you about that community that we found that's for
The
parents,
biracial,
yeah, for
yeah.
parents of biracial kids.
I'm
And so
so
that
happy
was,
that you found that.
yeah, I mean, it was really kind of just random. It was actually referred by the lady who, the daycare lady that we take the baby to. And she is a mother of a biracial child. So she has um, all of these references,
Communities,
and yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and she's like, oh, there's these ones, and so she gave us a whole bunch of information. This one kind of stood out, and they had like this woman who's half Nigerian, half German,
Mm.
who'd written a children's book, and so she was doing a live reading. So initially that's where we went to hear her read, and then just being in this room where it was for the first time in my boys' lives that all of the kids look like them. And so there's two things that stood out to me. That we were in a room where all of the kids were biracial, which I think must be so incredible for them. Obviously, my experience is different from a biracial person's, but I could see that that was so important for them. And like the other thing that stood out to me, which I forgot to mention to you before actually, was there was an older white German couple there. And I
Okay.
think they are grandparents. So I was like, that is what's up. Like
Yeah.
they probably have a son or a daughter that's married
So
interracially.
you need to
So they
bring
have biracial.
Michael's.
Oh no, and we already talked about it. And we're like, yeah,
Okay.
they're gonna come. But I was just like, the fact that they were there, I was like, fuck yes. Because that's
Yeah.
even something I never even thought about. Because it's not only support for my kids, it's support for the people who will become the support, the
Yeah,
community
which
for
we
my
talked
kids.
about
Right. And the need for them to
in the
learn and
episode
be
last week.
experienced. And
Yeah.
I was like, this is amazing. And so I was just really happy to, and everyone was just so nice. And, you know, like there was heaps of food, of course. And it was just like a really, really cool environment. And I said, this for the kids, because for me, I went there and I was like, for the kids, for the boys, for the boys. So I didn't have any expectations for myself. And of course, like your kids are playing and you're like next to a mom. And you know me, I don't like meeting new people. You know, I don't like it. Like, just because our kids are friends, like it doesn't mean we have to be friends. Like, fuck. Anyway, so I was like watching the kids and not really talking to anyone, and the moms were just really obviously quite open, and they're like, "Oh, are you new? It's your first time coming." Talked to a couple of the moms that were like just like amazing. Like there was that one mother I told you about who had the son who was nonverbal,
Mm-hmm.
and she was just so funny and so chilled, and so I was like, dude, like I'm sitting here being like it's so hard, and she's like dealing with the fact that like her kid has autism. He's also going through the biracial stuff, and she's also like between two races, and then like her husband. And I was just like, this is part of how you start to establish the community because like as much as my personality fights it because I'm actually introverted, like it doesn't matter. Your soul needs it,
Yeah.
you know?
Like
And
even when you were out with the girls at
exactly.
that,
In
like,
fact, I didn't want to go out because I was like, dude, it is 1 degree
yeah.
out tonight. I'm actually, once I got back home from lunch, I was like, guys, I don't know if I'm going to make
Yeah.
it. And I just literally dragged myself out. And yeah, it
But
was
like, how did your body feel after you
like it was like I went out and like those run-ins with like guys hitting on you and being in this environment like that place is a very like sort of
hush?
like that sort of a lot of funny people watching because like there's a lot of people trying to be something they're not, so it was
Yeah.
like funny but kind of like but like our group was just kind of like this little oasis, this little pod of like us just once we started talking to each other and listening to each other's stories and hearing, like, I was like, this is nice. Like,
Yeah.
just even just being, and we don't all have to be best friends. We don't even have to even see each other again. But like, just having that opportunity to talk about our experiences, to talk about things that are similar, to understand that like what you're going through, it's not just you. It's hard for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
but like a lot of them have come out on the other side and been like, yeah, we got through it, and this is how we see it, and being like, okay, so like this is not only something that can be overcome, but it's also something that
Where
is
you can,
common. And I'm
and
not,
yeah, you're not
yeah,
alone in this.
and you're not alone in it. And I was like,
And there
oh,
is that possibility of thriving at the end of this,
which is
you know?
actually something I've not given myself the chance to really contemplate. Surviving, yes, I'm like, look, because I'm, tough as nails and I'm gonna like
Yeah.
make it
Yeah.
work. That's more the attitude I've had as opposed to like actually thinking that I could get to a point where I'm like, oh, I actually love it here. I'm
Yeah.
still skeptical. But
We're working on it.
yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
God is great.
Yeah.
Miracles happen. But yeah, like that was just kind of nice to see that people have started in a situation that's the same, or in some cases even harder, and come out on the other side. So yeah, I had a lot of those kind of little perspective moments. Um, one I forgot to tell you about is one of the girls in my language class. A lot of my classmates are Ukrainian refugees, and I forget that because we're just all in this class struggle street together, and we're all kind of around the same age, and I forget that people have come from a life that's like war torn, and you know, um, and like this one girl was talking, and she was saying, it's so hard because when something goes wrong, like you're unwell here in Germany, it's hard to know which doctor to go to. You just have to go to whichever one. And I was like, that's even that familiarity of like, like back home we have the guy that fixes my shoes. We have the guy that remember we said the guy that's a jack of all trades, and if he can't do it, he knows a guy,
somebody,
right? And like that actually kind of gives you a sense of community. And like here, when I go to the doctor, I don't know what she is going to look like. I don't know if there's going to be a rapport. And
it's not even the same doctor.
It's not even the same doctor in some cases because yes, we have this great healthcare system, but that means you get whoever is there that day.
Yeah.
And like I asked her, I was like, "How was your weekend?" And she's like, "What did you do?" I was like, "Yeah, I was with the kids, went out with the girls. It was okay." And I was like, "How was yours?" She's like, "Well, I ended up in an ambulance going to the hospital." I was like,
"Oh, damn."
And she said, "I had this back pain, which I've had from when I was pregnant." She has a little boy, slightly older than Lindsay, and she was like, "I developed a lot of back pain." I was like, "Yeah, it's common." And she said, "Yeah, but it was really bad. So I went to see a doctor earlier last week, and he said, "Oh, I'm going to give you an injection for the discomfort." Like she's like now, of course, limited language barrier. She doesn't know how to ask or explain the questions to this doctor that she has about this shot. She's just like, "He's a doctor. I trust him." He gives her this shot. That was on Friday. She said Saturday morning she woke up and she was paralyzed.
Oh shit.
She said
Oh
paralyzed,
shit.
legs couldn't move. She said she was crawling to the kitchen on her elbows like this. And her son happened to walk in. I think he'd been out of the house and he walked in, her older son now. And he was like, "Mom, what can I do?" And he was so worried. And she's like, I just was, she said,
I'm okay.
I just paused on the ground and was smiling. I was like,
This is how I'm making breakfast.
she said, and she said it.
Dumbing it
I know what she
down.
was trying to say because,
Yeah.
obviously her English was limited and our
Yeah.
German is limited, but she was trying to say, as a mom, we smile even when we're like dying. And I
Dying.
was like, girl, enough
Been
said.
there. Yeah.
And she's like, so I just sat there and I was like, can you bring my phone, please? It's on the counter and I can't reach. And like,
Oh,
she
man.
basically called her husband and they ended up calling an ambulance.
Wow.
Yeah, and she ended up in the hospital and they were basically like, "Oh yeah, we'll just give you this medication for pain, but whatever he injected you with,
She reacted
you
to
reacted and he should have actually done a test to see that first. That's what paralyzed you."
it. Oh
Now, can you imagine the terror of waking up and I don't know how long I'm going to be not able to walk. Will I be able to walk again? Will I heal? Like
and
all of
probably
these
not
things.
like she herself doesn't have anyone that she can call on either.
Yeah.
Like that's
Like back home, I'd be like, "Oh, I'd call like one of my uncles that passed, and I'd be
yeah.
like, who the fuck is this
Yeah.
doctor? And what is this? And da da da." And like, you can't even get a second opinion because you don't even know who else to call. And I was like, that sense of community
And support.
is so important because, like, even if you don't personally know someone, like, I could be like, "Hey, who's your dentist?" For example, like,
Yeah.
do your kids like him? Is he or she good with the kids? All right, like that gives me transiently a sense of community because I'm like someone whose judgment I trust. That allows me to immerse myself into a new environment.
Mm-hmm.
And like when you don't have that, it's literally flying by the seat of your pants. You're just like, hope for the best. And
Yeah.
she said something to me. She said, "It's so terrifying." She said, "It is more terrifying to me than the moment when I had my son in Ukraine." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "I had to have him in a basement with a doctor who was operating on me and there were bombs
C-section
going
or
off." No. And there were bombs going off.
oh my god.
And I
That
was
was more
like,
this
it was more terrifying.
was more
Because she
terrifying.
didn't know. She's like, "I don't know what to tell my." She said, "I'm in an environment where if I'm paralyzed, I can't go to class, I can't go to work, I can't support my kids, I can't have the right to be able to stay here. Guess what happens? We get sent back." Like, I
It's just one there needs to be like when someone moves to a new country, there needs to be like at the airport like a welcome committee that onboards you and just says, "I'm going to hold your hand
are you
until
seeing what country we live in?
until you figure this shit out."
Welcome committee.
A welcome committee. Like, I mean, at least us expats should be doing that for each other.
Listen, now that is
It's
where
on
the community comes into it
yeah.
because then you band together and you say, "There's nothing like this for us here. Other people are going to come under the same circumstances. We have the benefit of having been here. Let us not let it be as hard for them as it was for us."
Yeah. And that's how we
That's
change
for
the
us.
narrative.
Yeah,
That's how
that's
we
it.
need to. So that's one thing I'd also like to address is like, how can we make it easier for us? Like, what is it that we need to be doing
I think,
so
yeah,
that we're
there's
not competing with each other, that we are supporting each other? And I know also there's like a level of women competing against women. There's mothers competing against mothers. Like everyone's trying to, one up the other person, but it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, no, it doesn't have to be that way. And I think that's just something that's been sort of fed to us that we just kind of perpetuate in everyday life. But it doesn't have to be this way. Also, because we don't live in a society of limited, we are lucky anyway, I should say. We don't live in a society of limited resources. There is enough here for everybody. And we are fortunate to be in a position of privilege, as much as you complain, as much as I complain, of privilege where, like I have the opportunity and the means to be able to make this journey easier for someone else. And why would I Why would I not do that?
Yeah.
So people are living lives out here that are just, and she's like, anyway, that was my weekend. I was
You poor thing.
holy fuck.
And smiling through it because
And you hear in class on Monday.
one, you don't want to show your weakness to another woman because you don't know how it's going to be perceived. Two,
Yeah. Like, what are you gonna do?
what are you
Like,
going to
it is
do?
what it is.
It is what it
Yeah. And
is.
she's like, 3, I'm lucky. I'm walking again now.
Yeah.
And I have to come to class. I can't not come to class because I need to be able to
You need
stay here
to,
where I'm safe and my kids are safe.
and
Like,
you need to learn the language to be able to work, and you need to work to
work
be
to be
able
able to
to
support your
stay
kids and
and
to
to support
stay
the,
and to
like,
keep
it's just a,
safe. And
everything is connected, interconnected. So
like, I just realized, I was like, okay, you know what? I really need to like get my head out of my ass sometimes with how I complain about shit, because honestly, I'm not just getting an education in language. Like, the fact that like the resilience of these people, like, they're people who most of them are younger than me, and they've gone through shit that I will, thank God, never ever have to even consider seeing. But it really helps me put in perspective the fact that like I'm in such a privileged position, in terms of, as much as I, complain about shit, like, it's not the same circumstances that we're all in. And yes, I'm going through things socially that they aren't, because they come from a European country. So
yeah,
there's refuge. So it just makes me think
it's also all, that's why it's
African
all subjective
refugees
also.
or refugees from Arab countries, like brown people who are in the same situation as them, war-torn country, here on asylum. So they're going through the racial shit and all of this. I can't imagine.
That's
So
why we need to band together more than ever, because
yeah,
that's,
yeah.
I think that's what gets us through that,
And I think
through those
us
hard times.
in a position of privilege comparatively, it means that we need to preserve like sort of that community and that sort of strength that we have, so that we have a full cup to be able to now give
Yeah.
to other people. If we're sitting here and we're not doing what we can to preserve that and build that, then we don't have enough to give it to other people. And we have a responsibility
Yes.
in that respect, not just to ourselves, but yes, once we fulfill that to ourselves and our families, like, go beyond.
Yeah.
And not just the benefit that we've talked about in having a community, creating one, I think, can also be beneficial. It also gives you a sense of purpose, and um, you're helping people. Like, that can never feel bad.
No, it's always it can be very fulfilling.
Yeah,
to do that.
really, really, quite so. So, especially women, like when we are tip top, when we are like operating at full capacity, we are unstoppable. Like,
I agree.
like forces to be reckoned with.
Forces of nature.
Really, honestly. And, for us to encourage that and celebrate that in each other is something that we need to start doing a lot more.
I think that's one of the things on how to change the narrative,
Mm-hmm.
is to do that, is to celebrate each other.
Celebrate
is
each
to,
other.
And verbalize it and say it, like, oh, I'm proud of you for this, or I think that's awesome that you're doing this, or like,
That's
you're
a big
doing
one.
such a good job, or this, like, it's just to actually verbalize it and to say it out loud.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times, sometimes we're like in this on our own, and and I said earlier, we don't want to show our weakness, we don't want to show that we can't do something, or sometimes even as mothers, we realize, we think that we're not doing a good job. And it's so important as mothers to tell each other that, hey, you're okay, you're doing okay.
You're actually killing it. You're doing
to
really
be
well.
in a foreign country on your own. It's also to say, like, hey, you've got this, like, you're okay.
Yeah.
It's, this too shall pass, and,
Yeah.
and I
yeah.
think that
it's important to hear that, because when you're in it, it's so hard to see
past
which
it.
way is up.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard.
So
Yeah, I think that's a really good one. Kind of this, like, we don't say that enough. We tell little kids, hopefully, but like generally we tend to tell little kids, good job, you did
Yeah.
well. And like, why does that stop?
Yeah.
When we get older, why does it stop? Why do we stop celebrating each other's wins and achievements? It's still really important to
I think
hear.
there's like this level of jealousy that maybe, or envy,
Yeah.
that comes in.
Yeah,
and
like resentment
and so
almost.
it's like, oh, like, I wish I had that, or something.
Yeah, or, well, why is she doing that?
Yeah.
And like, I haven't, or what?
That's the part that we definitely need to investigate more, as to why there is that
Yeah.
animosity. Where did that divide start to happen?
Yeah.
to kind of fracture that bond that existed throughout
Yeah.
history.
And I think, like, I mean, historically, when there were issues of competition, I think it was, like we said, like limited resources, limited men, limited
Hmm.
access to, alpha males or whatever it is, depending on how far back you go. But, like, we're
That
not
was, and it was a survival thing. Like they
literally living.
literally needed
Yeah,
to
survive.
live, to
Yeah.
survive.
But we're
So
not living
we're
in
not in that.
societies like that anymore. And we're
Yeah.
not in, like, polygamous societies where there's one man that has five wives.
Well,
Some women,
they'll
some
still do
women
exist.
still
So.
are. Yeah. But we personally, anyway, aren't in a situation
Yeah.
where, that's happening and we have, like, limited resources from this one man and we're totally dependent on him to support our children versus, like, all of these other children. Like, there's not a situation like that. And there's certainly not a situation where if you do well, it means you've taken over resources and opportunities that now don't exist to me. Like, there's still enough for
Yeah.
everybody. The opportunities are still abound. Like, your talents, your skills, your abilities, and you using them and shining in no way dims mine.
No.
So, yeah, I think we're quite lucky in that respect that we don't have to worry about that stuff. And so I don't really know where. I think it comes to also understanding and valuing yourself legitimately, because then there's nothing that can threaten
And
that.
that's where we are, I would say, lacking. Is that maybe we haven't done a good job. Maybe it's the school system, or I don't know what we could attest it to, but that building the confidence up for women as as we're growing up,
Yeah.
like that's not really there. I mean, what did we see growing up? Like women who were successful were like super skinny or super like they just had
Or corporate bitches.
or corporate, and
Yeah.
to be successful as a businesswoman, you had to be an asshole or
Yeah.
like,
And, like, give up the family life.
Yeah.
You couldn't do both.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that image has changed, but, like, also, like, a lot of those first perspectives
Yeah.
kind of still
It's changed for
are
the
in
next
there.
generation, but like for us and maybe our parents, like it would have been a different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our parents, like, forget it. Like the mom should be at home
Although
taking
my
care of.
mom wasn't.
Your mom wasn't, but I think she was
But that was the
ahead of her
trade-off.
time.
Like, I also feel like it would have been great to have her at home more.
Yeah.
But she was, like, working a lot, and
Yeah.
she was basically, like, ridiculed in society for doing that.
Going
And even
against
me
the norm.
looking back, I'm like, oh, like, I wish we would have had her, like, around when I came home from school, and, like, nobody but, like, the maid was at home,
Yeah.
and I was, like,
Yeah.
there by myself for
Yeah.
hours. So yeah, you kind of see that, yeah, like, you couldn't really do both at that point in time, but we kind of can. But even so, picking one or the other, or picking whatever combination, is not, like, I don't know, there's not one that's better than the other, because there's just something that works for someone that might not work for you. And I think if you are true to yourself and this is what I want, this is what's best for my kid, and you're in a healthy place with yourself, like, it doesn't matter what someone else is going to do. It doesn't matter what achievements they have. You'll be able to clap for them, and you'll also have the energy to help pick them up. You'll be able to, as they say, straighten her crown when she needs it, and still not feel like it's taken or depleted you in any way.
Right.
And I think that you need to get to the point where your own cup is full.
Yeah.
Which
I agree.
is that self-work that we keep talking about.
Such a beautiful, complicated.
Keeps coming back around. This keeps coming back around. Same thing, like work and assessment and building yourself up, and looking inside yourself and constantly checking in, but also still being able to recognize that. And I think even checking in with yourself helps you pick out the right people for your community to create that support system. Because when you're desperate, you're going to reach for anything. And I think it's the same as, like, when women enter, or even men, enter into abusive relationships. It's because you're trying to fill a void with something else that needs to be filled here, already. And it's the same thing with the friendships. How you pick the right people to be around, and you have no problem letting the people that are the wrong ones out because you don't feel it that you're losing anything. You're enough. Easier said than done. I'm over here talking about it, and I'm like, listen, you're all guilty of.
But you said it. I think we can. I think that's that's right there, is that knowing that you are enough.
Yeah.
Knowing and believing that you are enough. That
Yeah.
is that is such a beautiful concept, and I know that's something that we say, and it's a struggle.
Preach.
We preach it, but I know that it's a struggle within ourselves.
Yeah.
And just knowing that, like, I also literally have to remind myself on those days that I am lonely, I literally will tell myself, you are loved. You're loved. Like, there are people out there that love you, that care about you, but you are enough as you are, and you are loved. And that's, those are things that you have to remind yourself of sometimes. But I think you saying you are enough is so, so important and so beautiful. And I think we can end it there. So is there anything else that you wanted to add before we?
No, I think that's really it. I think we've
Yeah, so with that, we will see you again next week, same time, same place. Thank you so much to everyone who's tuning in on a regular basis.
Thank you to the new subscribers.
To the new subscribers as well. Hello. Keep coming back. Subscribe below if you haven't already subscribed. Leave us some comments. Ask us any questions. You can find us on Instagram as well. We're always posting, always happy to, welcome messages
new
from
people, new questions, challenges, all of that. So, yeah, feel free.
Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.